I know this is nothing the same. In my post-mortem for my Chicago Bears, there came a point where I was like, this is do or die. I gotta accept the reality of, hey, they just didn't have enough oomph to get to the other side. I know they seem like two polar opposites, but as a caregiver, you're giving opportunities to yourself to learn, to enhance, to make better choices and decisions. But when you're in the final stages of caring for your loved one, you're no longer fixing anything. You're not there to maintain their life. You're there to make them comfortable, clean, and give them care. Sometimes part of that comfort is having to deal with morphine. I don't want that stigma to be something to be afraid of. Look at it as something to bring them comfort. I'm going to discuss something that's probably not a popular subject, but I'm going to give you the option to hang with me and discuss post-mortem issues. It doesn't have to be about humanity or anything like that. I am actually grieving the loss of my NFL team, the Chicago Bears. They fought and they fought and they fought in their own home stadium. They still lost. It didn't matter how good certain players were, it still wasn't going to happen. Quite honestly, you would think that the weather and the home stadium advantage would have been in their benefit, but it wasn't. The LA Rams, they ended up coming in. They fought equally hard. They fought better. They had better opportunities, and they seized them. Yes, it is a caregiving channel, but I will say this much. Being a caregiving channel, you deal with a lot of changes. You deal with a lot of losses. You have a lot of opportunities to make things right, to do things, to change things, to help you, to help your loved one. They kind of go in correlation with each other. That's why I'm discussing this. And it didn't matter how good Caleb Williams was as a quarterback to lead them to where they got. But it just means there's room for improvement. In caregiving, it's the same thing. You're going to have trial and error, things that are going to happen. If you don't get it right the first time, the second time will guarantee to come around again, and you'll have another opportunity to make it better. I learned that in caregiving for both my parents. What didn't work the first time? We'll try a different way. Sometimes, like with my dad, I had help. I had someone with me that was able to help out. But with my mom, I was mostly on my own. And that was hard because my mom was a different type of situation. My dad was still mobile. He didn't have dementia, but my mom did, and my mom was bedridden towards the end. Ironically enough, they both had bed sores towards the end. They both had extreme pain, discomfort, because what we take for granted in this vibrant living world, as you're approaching the end of your life, your body tends to shed muscle mass. Nerves are exposed. You lose a lot of weight. The weightiness of your bones are in conjunction with your nerves. Not only that, your body can no longer fight off infections or issues with the skin. Remember, your skin is an organ. And when you start to decline, which is a fancy way of saying as you're dying, your body tends to break down. Your skin tends to break down. Things don't work the way they used to. We recently had a discussion about morphine in these kits from hospice. People are afraid that giving too much morphine is going to kill them. Well, it will if you administer too much. Look it. I didn't want to give my dad morphine because I wanted him to be present with me and still able to communicate. He wasn't in the same case as my mom. He agreed. He didn't want to take it either. But we both agreed that if it got so painful for him, that we would resolve to do that. Thank God we never had to do that. Dad kind of passed away on his own terms. And it was quite suddenly, of course, after I left the room. My mom, she had a whole different set of circumstances. And I ended up giving her the minimal amount of morphine because she could no longer swallow anymore. Her body was breaking down so much that she couldn't do anything, and I didn't want her to choke on anything, be it food. She wasn't eating. Probably the last 2 weeks of her life, she barely ate anything. If you added it all up, it probably was a tablespoon of food. And she barely had stuff to drink. She couldn't swallow. Her muscles were stopping. And so we had to give her comfort in this care and give her liquid morphine, the minimal amount. And it would be absorbed in her cheek. It brought her comfort. It made her sleep a little better. She still was coming in and out. She wasn't knocked out. You know, at this point, you just want to help them cross over to the other side. And you know what? It makes it easier for you as a caregiver to actually observe, to watch. Sometimes if we want to keep them in the present, we force them to do things that their body naturally is not used to doing as they transition to the other side. As Hospice Nurse Julie always says, through her Facebook page, her Instagram, or YouTube channel, God made an amazing machine. God designed us a certain way that our body knows when it's at the end. It knows how to die. It actually is designed to not eat or drink anymore. That's why people should get off of the fear of morphine. Yeah, you don't have to be worried about them being addicted. I'm sorry, but let's be blunt. They are dying. There's a point when you kind of say it's time to accept what it is that's happening, because why torment yourself as a caregiver? It's better to let them go easily. I know this is nothing the same. In my post-mortem for my Chicago Bears, there came a point where I was like, this is do or die. I got to accept the reality of they just didn't have enough oomph to get to the other side. But there's always next year. They're going to be better. They're going to learn. And then as a caregiver, you're giving opportunities to yourself to learn, to enhance, to make better choices and decisions. But when you're in the final stages of caring for your loved one, you're no longer fixing anything. You're not there to maintain their life. You're there to make them comfortable, clean, and give them care. Sometimes part of that comfort is having to deal with morphine. I don't want that stigma to be something to be afraid of. Look at it as something to bring them comfort, to help them be at ease, make that transition a little bit easier to view, to observe, and for them to experience. Don't be afraid. You know, in football, it keeps going. They keep getting new players, and it keeps changing out, and it keeps going. With our lives, we've only got one. Make the most of it. And when it comes to you as a caregiver, make the most of the time that you have with that loved one while they're able to communicate. And even if we're at the end stages, be by them. Love on them. You know, they can still hear. They can still feel. They may not be able to talk. They may not be able to do the things that you hope that they could do. It's not like in the movies where you kind of say your last words and that's it. It doesn't always work out that way. Be easy with yourself. Make it easy for them. It's only one shot when it comes to that. So be good to yourself. Stay blessed. And I'll see you at the next video. Hey, thanks for watching. And please remember to hit the subscribe button. We are trying to grow our channel and reach 1,000 subscribers. Now, for every new subscriber, these two nutheads right here, they're going to get a treat, so we will all be happy. Thanks for watching.